Today, we're diving into a system that's, way more than just another productivity hack. It's called the Bahareth Method, and you should really think of it as a complete operating system for your life. At its core, it's all about closing that gap between who you really want to be and what you actually do, day in and day out. I mean, what a question to start with, right? It really hits home. Maybe you've been there. You hit the targets, you get that promotion, you achieve all the goals you're supposed to, but instead of feeling on top of the world, there's just this nagging emptiness. It's that classic nightmare of climbing the ladder of success only to find out it's leaning against the completely wrong wall. That feeling, right there, is the exact problem the Bahareth Method was created to solve.
This quote it nails the problem, doesn't it? This idea of a firewall between our hearts and our work, our values and our balance sheets. The method calls this strategic fragmentation. We're basically taught to be one person at the office and a totally different person at home. And that division, that split, creates this deep, exhausting internal war.
So where does this all begin? Where does that fragmentation start? Well, according to the method, it begins with the very way we're taught to set goals. It points to a huge, fundamental flaw in how we do things, calling it the goal-setting trap.
Okay, so this old way of setting goals, it's described as having 3 fatal flaws. First, it's soulless. It's totally obsessed with what you're doing, but completely ignores why you're doing it. Second, it's static. It basically assumes life is a straight line, which we all know it isn't. And third, it's siloed. It forces us to chop up our lives, our professional goals over here, our personal life over there, our spiritual side somewhere else entirely. And what's the result of all that? Well, we end up feeling disengaged from our own lives, disempowered, and just deeply unfulfilled.
All right, so how do we fix this mess? The Bahareth Method proposes a whole new model. And listen, this isn't about setting slightly better goals. This is a complete paradigm shift, moving away from that fragmentation we talked about and towards total integration.
And the core idea here is something called integrated intention. This isn't just about having a goal. It's about getting to a state where every single part of you, your deepest values, your thoughts, your strategies, your actions, they're all aligned, all pulling in the exact same direction. There's no space between what you believe, what you want, and what you do. So at the end of the day, the promise of this method is to tear down that firewall we talked about. It's designed to take all those separate threads of your life, the spiritual, the personal, the professional, and weave them back together into one single strong, unbreakable cord.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does this thing actually work? How do you put it into practice? Well, it's all built on 3 foundational pillars. These are described as the structural steel of the whole system. The very first pillar is intention. This is your spiritual foundation. It's the why. It's about making a conscious choice to connect every single goal you have to your highest, deepest values. So it's not just, I want to build a successful business. It's, I want to build a business that solves a problem I genuinely care about and makes a real positive impact.
And this quote, wow, it just captures that first pillar so perfectly. It's about that crucial shift, right? Moving from chasing something for applause or status to pursuing something that brings you deep internal fulfillment.
Pillar number 2 is integrity. Now, we all think we know what integrity is, but the method reframes it. It's not just about being a good person. Think of it more like structural engineering for your life. It means being whole, undivided. It's that state where your actions are a perfect mirror of your stated values, which gets rid of all that internal friction.
And this is huge because integrity is what builds something the method calls trust capital. The argument is that this kind of capital is way more valuable than money or intelligence. It becomes the bedrock, the foundation for any kind of meaningful long-term success. So you've got your why, that's intention. You've got your how, that's integrity. The third and final pillar is alignment. And if the others are why and how, alignment is the when. And the when is right now. It's that dynamic, in-the-moment feeling when the spiritual, the mental, and the physical are all in perfect sync. No wasted energy, no internal conflict, just flow. And if you're wondering what that alignment feels like, this is it. It's that incredible state of flow that athletes call being in the zone. The method argues that this state isn't some random accident. It's something you can actually design, something you can achieve by consistently applying the system. Now, this is where the method takes a really fascinating turn. It makes this bold claim that it's uniquely powerful for neurodiverse thinkers, and it does that by framing what we often see as challenges as, believe it or not, massive strategic advantages. It's all about this incredible reframing of perspective. So you take something like difficulty with linear text, and instead of seeing it as a deficit, you see it as exceptional visual spatial reasoning. Or you take short attention span and reframe it as the ability to drop into a state of hyper-focus. Impulsivity? No, that's a bias for action. It's literally about turning what the world calls weaknesses into your own personal superpowers.
And this is exactly why the system's tools are designed the way they are, like its visual one-page goal model canvas. They let nonlinear thinkers see the whole picture, the whole system, all at once. It leverages their natural genius for seeing patterns and connections, turning their unique way of thinking into what the method calls an unfair advantage. So when you put all of this together, the pillars, these new perspectives, the entire conversation gets elevated. We're not just talking about hitting our quarterly numbers anymore. We're talking about building something that actually lasts. We're talking about building a legacy. This quote really captures the core philosophy here. It's a call to action. It's basically saying that sitting around and just wishing for things to be different isn't enough. What the world desperately needs are people who are doing the hard work of aligning their inner world with their outer actions to create real, tangible change. And there you have it. The ultimate aim is crystal clear. Hitting your targets, well, that's just a byproduct. The real goal here is significance. It's about creating a life and a body of work that tells a powerful, coherent story that you'll be proud of, one that will actually outlast you. So, after exploring all of this, the Bahareth Method leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful question, and it turns the spotlight right back on each of us. It asks us to do a personal audit of our own lives. It's a challenge, really, to just stop climbing for a minute, look around, and ask, is the wall I'm on even the right one in the first place?